Hello and welcome to an introduction to my Volvo 245er wagon 1975 car with a Lamborghini V10 engine. It's the 5-liter Gallardo engine that usually is in the back like my Gallardo baby here. But it will be awesome with the sound of the V10 with a nice exhaust system, naturally aspirated, more than 500 horsepower in this Volvo would be really nice. That has been a dream of me for some time. But I have 3 problems that I really need to solve that I think is a little bit hard. And the one thing is to fit the engine. You can see now it's in here, but I could not fit any exhaust manifolds. The headers, they cannot fit there because they are a little bit wider. So I have to build some custom manifolds. Problem number 2 is that this engine block is cracked. So this engine is not really complete. I actually bought this engine from Spain. It was in a GT2 race car, I believe. That's why it has this safety wire on some of the bolts. It has some heat protection here on the wiring harness. Problem number 3 is the gearbox. There's no really gearbox solution for this one. What I have seen, if you install it in the front. So my plan is maybe to put like a BMW gearbox. They're strong, plenty enough for 500, 600 horsepower like this one will have. And maybe do an adapter plate or something. Okay, I'm in another garage here in Sweden and just picked up an engine block and some parts here. It's a damaged engine that I can use for the project maybe. We'll see. So my plan is to weld this one. And after welding it will need to be line bored and line honed, and maybe actually also it needs to be decked, this surface. I'm gonna prepare the engine bay a little bit, maybe remove some of the original wiring here to make it a little bit more clean. And also here you can see, if I go in here, I just removed this plate. It's actually the firewall. It's possible to detach these black parts here of the firewall. Alright, engine almost fits under the hood now. I did some cutting here in the front beam to make the engine a little bit lower. Let's take it up. Alright, here we have a place for the gearbox. Hopefully it will fit. It's an ZF German gearbox from an BMW. It's rated 470 Newton meters. It looks pretty big and strong, and I think actually the rating there, usually these gearboxes hold a lot more power than that. 6-speed gearbox, it would be very nice with 6-speed. Actually, I'm going to cut off, I think 50 millimeters here, I will cut off. And I will weld on a plate. I have here, this is the back plate of the engine that connects to the gearbox. If I had a CNC machine or a milling machine, I could do a flange for it. I don't have it here, so I have to do it manually. I got this plate I can use. This is actually an adapter plate for I think a BMW V12 or something, but it is not going to be used for that anymore. I'm gonna take that one and see if I can get it somehow to cut it down and make a flange of this material. It's a good material, this one. Is the plate a little bit too big now, I think, but just made with hand, so it's not very nice. I would love to have a CNC mill where I can do something like this in the future, but yeah, I think this will work actually. So I will cut off here and weld this one on. So next things is to weld the block. And to weld and fix the gearbox there, so I can put the engine back inside here again, not fully built yet, but put the engine and gearbox in, see if the gearbox fits, to make some mounts and see if I can get everything to fit. Steering, make room for exhaust and stuff like that. Maybe I have to cut a little bit here in the car, but I don't want to cut too much. The biggest problem right now is that the steering here and the oil pump, it's very tight here, and the engine is not so far down as I need to have it to close the hood. It's almost there but not really there, and yeah, very tight. I want to use this dry sump pump, it's the original one. I want to use it as much original accessories around the engine as possible, but now I actually think I have decided to remove the original oil pump and put an aftermarket on this side, and it will be a dry sump pump like this one. So then I will be able to modify the oil sump and hopefully bring the engine a little bit further down and have some room for the steering, so it will be better there. In this place where I'm gonna install the oil pump, it's the alternator from the beginning. The alternator, it's here, pretty big one. That one I think I'm gonna install in the middle here of between the cylinder heads. There is some room here. This one I can remove. It's the feed from the original oil pump up to the oil filter. This one, if I remove it, I have a little bit more room there as well. If I can install the original alternator there in the middle, or if it will be some other alternator, that we will see. Next problem is that the water pump that is supposed to be here is it's a pretty big one. It is driven by the oil pump, so if I remove it, I cannot have the water pump here. And for that one, I think I'm going to install a remote electric water pump like this one. It's a Davis Craig water pump that you can find, for example, at BJP Race. So this one I can mount on the side here or something. I don't need to mount it directly on the engine. And then I have to do some new flanges for inlet and outlet of the water to the engine. Here is one inlet and one here that actually goes through here. So maybe I just cut it by here and weld something on there. Also the outlets from the cylinder heads is from this manifold, and it will not be able to use this one if I put the alternator in the middle there. I will make new outlets directly from the cylinder heads. So there will be some changes. My first plan to have the engine as original as possible with all the accessories. It's yeah, not going to happen because it will be too much problems for that one. And but yeah, I'm excited for this because I think the end product will be much better with all this custom stuff there. Okay, here is my engines, and this is the block that I'm going to use in the car. It's now, yeah, you saw the video, I did the welding, and now it's machined, so it's line bored and line honed. I will use the heads from this mock-up motor I have now, putting in and out of the car many times. Heads are from the race engine there, and this is my broken spare engine there. And from this engine here I just removed this exhaust manifold. I will put this mock-up engine into the car again and see if possible to use this exhaust manifold, maybe modified it. Here is pieces of the stock exhaust manifold, and it was too wide, so it was not possible to fit in the car. I will try to see now if I cut it off from the flange and make an almost 90-degree bend there. Just about clears down here, and from the top it's looking good. Back here now I did cut off. Even if it's tricky on this side, I think this side will be much more difficult because of the steering there as well. So this side will be, yeah, fully custom header there instead of using some of the stock one. The reason I use some of the stock one here is that it is pretty good, I think, and I will save some time. Stock intake manifold, cut them off, and I put an elbow 90-degree here. So now I'm welding these ones back to a little bit of angle down here, so there will be more room cleared off up here. Okay, I have started a little bit with the wiring harnesses for the engine here in Abu Dhabi. And to save some time, I'm gonna use the original wiring harnesses of the engine. It's actually two harnesses, one for the bank number 1 and one for the bank number 2. I removed the connectors that was on here and removed some of the pins, starting to mark everything up to the ECU here and figuring everything out if it's possible to use it as good as possible. And to save some time and do a little bit on budget, I will take this one directly into the ECU, no bulkhead connector. Hopefully I can do a mil-spec wiring of this one someday with nice mil-spec connectors and bulkhead connectors. So need to replace some of the connectors, they are in bad shape. These are for the coils, really big wires there. So, but yeah, overall the layout of these ones are pretty good. We have the ignition coils, we have the injectors, all the cam sensors and stuff like that. So I'm checking the wiring here that I made in UAE, or made, it's the stock one that I just modified a bit. And yeah, looking here if everything fits as it should, and I think so. I still have some connectors to replace, and I will do some wiring here to the throttle bodies now with a new location. Actually the throttle bodies is in a separate harness, not in this one, in the Gallardo. So now I know all the lengths I can do wiring for that one. The wiring is a work in progress. I will connect all of these original wires into the PDM, so that will give power to all the outlets. This beam here for the gearbox is, I think, the original one from the car from 1975, and it has been rebuilt for many different gearboxes during this car's life. But it's getting old, it has some rubber, what to say, bushings here that is getting worn. And I found out that MK Motorsport here in Sweden, they have actually a beam for 240 that fits this GS6 gearbox, and actually one bracket here to fit to the gearbox as well. So the nice guys there sent me this one, also some rubber bushings there as well, and also I will use this one. It's for dual brake calipers in the rear. I have been using the hydro brake on the original calipers. With this one you can use 2 of the original brake calipers there. So yeah, thanks to MK Motorsport. They have a lot of things, good, nice things for the Volvos. And very nice fabrication, very industrial looking. So yeah, good thing. The engine is in the engine bay again for the maybe 20th time or something like that, but it's not the final install yet. I have finished up the plates, made them black, painted them black. The plates here on the left hand side and right hand side, heavy modified these ones. And yeah, made some brackets for the oil filter housing with this clear filter here. The dry sump pump, some bracket here. Yeah, a little bit temporary, but it's still very solid, so it will be there. Water pump, made a bracket for that one and planning to have it on this side, but now it will be on this side. So I think the catch can, the new one, carbon fiber, really nice one, will be here, but I'm not really sure yet. But all of these brackets and trying to find out where everything has to be, it takes some time. Plenum here, still not painted. I will paint this black, hopefully soon, in the wrinkle finish one. Shifter linkage is finished, welded on, modified this one, made it shorter. So now shifting is working. Yes, works. Nice to have a 6-speed in the car again. And the reverse as well. Yeah, now it's time for the rods and pistons, and the rods is new ones. It's the auto-ready one, aftermarket, as you have seen when I was in the factory. But the pistons, I will use the stock one. So I will use these Mahle pistons. They're pretty nice actually, so they will be really good for not aspirated. Need to clean them, but I need to find, I need to check for the 10 nicest or the ones I have here. Also the piston rings, I will use the old ones. If I should have made this 100%, I should have put the new ones in, but no money for that one now. They're really expensive, the ones, if you buy them from Lamborghini. Little special moment here, I think, because this is the last time I will install the engine. Hopefully it will go in here now and stay here rest of this car's life. Working on the fuel lines now, so it will come some fuel to the engine. New lines, the other ones was really old. New tunnel here for the drive shaft, and yeah, for the seat belt and the e-brake lever there as well. A bit higher than the normal one. Coming along with the wiring, mostly the original wiring of the car I'm modifying, because I have removed some of the relays in the engine bay and put it in the car, and also the bad old fuse panel I have moved, and gonna use as much as possible the PDM on that side. I will use the hardwire PDM 25 plus for the power distribution of the engine, and as much as possible on the car, and also made this bit of carbon fiber plate to mount the ECU and PDM, and will install it on the forward firewall there. So I got some of the carbon fiber back from Stefan at Composite Doctor. This one is for the belt, for the dry sump. I don't think I will able to fit it here for the street week. But these ones, lightweight carbon fiber for the cover for the ignition coils. Will fit here with some titanium bolts, I think. So yeah, it will be all good. Okay, it's first time now when Nils turning the key for cranking with the fuel and everything, so hopefully it will start. We will see. Yes, engine is started. Yeah, first miles of a long road trip. So yeah, so far Lamborghini doing all good. First pass, and yeah, a little bit strange because I cannot hear the engine. I don't have a rev limiter and I don't have a shift light, so yeah, I have to feel the vibrations.